Oh my God.
He just broke down.
I'll change
He just
spots
broke
with you.
down Riding Dirty by Chameleon here to us.
What?
Right. I know Riding Dirty.
On, on to Friday. So we're in our obvious. One roster update. Rock, yes, and obviously was put on IR, so you guys know that now. So we're in our third day here, and this team is, as I mentioned the other day, is probably as good top to bottom in all three phases as we've played. There's really, I'd say, very, very few, if any, weaknesses, on this team relative to their roster, the way they play. They do a lot of things right. They really do. They're well coached. And like I said the other day, I mean, the way they've put this team together, their depth has been challenged at times, but obviously their depth has really done a good job for them. So, a number of years into their process there with John and Kyle, and you can see the way they want to play. It stands out, jumps out on the film. Their philosophy, how they do things, and you can tell that their guys know exactly what they want them to do. So I'm extremely impressed. I've always been impressed. I think Kyle's obviously one of the elite coaches in this league and has been for a long time. And as I mentioned the other day, D'Amico's doing a tremendous job defensively. They're one of the top teams in the league in the kicking game. So top to bottom, it's a great challenge, and our guys have really poured into them. You only get so many opportunities a year to really, kind of deal with teams like this. And, not a team that we know very well, but I'd say over the last 3 or 4 days here, we've really gotten to know them, have a ton of respect for what they do and how they play, and eager for the challenge on Sunday.
Josh, when you look at things from a bigger picture standpoint, and you look at the 49ers and how they've built, is that kind of something that is okay to look at and try to emulate?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they did it their way. You know what I mean? And I think that anytime you take on an opportunity like this, you have a vision for what you eventually want it to get to. It's very difficult to get to that right away because you're spending a lot of time teaching, everybody, and so I think that what they've been able to do over a number of years is establish the type of people that they're looking for, establish the way they want to play in all three phases. And I think by now you see the fruits of the labor on the field. And, there's, like I said, there's very few times where you're watching them where it looks like they're not connected perfectly. They got 11 guys on the field that know what's being asked of them, and they do it very well. So it's a team, again, I know that two guys that have really, done a great job of putting that group together, and you can see their philosophy kind of play out. And of course, you want to, have that opportunity to, develop your own program and process and culture to the point where you can see it, in every phase and every play.
Last time you were in here, you obviously made a pretty major announcement. How did you feel the team kind of responded the last couple of days?
Yeah, the way that they've responded to everything all year, they're mature. I think we have a high character group, and again, we've said it the other day, and nobody, relationships are relationships. The human side of this is real, and so you're allowed to feel however you feel about, people, and I think we all have a job to do, and I think they've done a tremendous job this week of preparing each day. Practice has been good. Their energy has been tremendous, and their attitude is great. So, that's what I would have expected them to do, and that's what they've done.
Josh, you are a relationship guy. It's been kind of known who that's, you're personally going back to really those of us who know your dad, how he is. So I'm curious, you talked to Dirk before you came here. You like him. He likes you. You guys are respectful of each other. Is making those decisions the worst part about coaching?
Probably. And I think the hard part is that, when you do it long enough, you ultimately end up making decisions that are really strictly only about football or performance, but not really about the way you feel about the person as a human being. And so I think as a younger guy, I would stand here and say I probably had a harder time understanding that dynamic. because you wrap everything up into, the conversation that you're involved in. But as I've been around long enough to see people come and go, and relationships sustain themselves beyond that, that's up to the two people. It really is. And we've cut players, traded players, released players. People have retired. Coaches have been fired. I've been fired. And you still have great relationships with the people that you worked for or you worked with. And again, I think that's a personal choice, and I choose to invest in the relationships with those people. And if something has to be done from a business perspective, or somebody makes a choice to move in a different direction, you have to respect that and move on. But it doesn't necessarily have to affect your relationship.
Josh, I know people have said, well, Josh knows, Stidham, they think, but you haven't known him this way, starting a game, finishing a game, preparing for a game as the starter. What have you seen so far this week, and what are you curious about on Sunday?
Yeah, I've seen a guy really eager for his opportunity. Obviously, he should be excited. This is, as he mentioned the other day, this is an opportunity that you don't get, doesn't come along easily. And so, I'm excited for him personally. I think he's done a good job of handling practice the last 2 days. I think the team has done a tremendous job of really working with him. And look, our job is to try to, help him have a productive day and do the things that he needs to do at the quarterback position to help us win. So we're all hard at work at that. Jarrett's definitely hard at work at it. And, I have no delusions of grandeur in terms of like, oh, this is going to be perfect. I mean, this, it wouldn't matter who we were playing with. Against this defense isn't going to be perfect. But, we're going to strive to do the best we can each time out there. And he's put in a great week's work so far. And I'm sure we'll have another good day today. And I know mentally he's ready to go. Physically he's ready to go. And maybe have to contain the emotions a little bit for him. But, that part, once you get into the game, you get hit a little bit. Hopefully he'll settle in and play good football.
He steps out there with the league's leading rusher behind him, and then the league leader in touchdown receptions next to him. I guess just despite some of the struggles this year, what kind of standard have Josh and Devontae set with their performances?
Yeah. They've been tremendous individually, but I also think that they would be the first people to tell you that obviously their success is a product of a lot of people helping them do it right. And so, they obviously have earned the accolades they've received this year. I think, those are two good players that you want on your team, you know what I mean? And so for the quarterback, facilitating the ball to those people along with the other guys that are out there with them, I think that's what we'll try to get done. And I know that, those two guys are eager to play, and this is an interesting opportunity for all of us, to really compete against a unit that I think obviously right now ranks as the best in the league. They certainly are playing like it, and it's a great opportunity, a great challenge for everybody.
Obviously, winning the game is the priority. However, besides winning the game, when you go into this game, what's the biggest trait or the biggest attribute that you want to see from your team moving forward out of this game?
I just think they've competed all year, and I think that's really the responsibility of each individual here is to prepare ourselves to win, prepare ourselves to perform the best we can in our job, in our role. We can't do the other person's job or role, but we're going to go out there and compete as hard as we can to win a football game. And again, we know there's some other factors at play relative to the overall outcome of the season and all that, and we can't control those things. So I expect what they've given us all year, which is a hell of a day's work, and they compete their butt off, whether it's practice or in the game. And we'll finish our preparation off here in the next 48 hours and go to the stadium Sunday ready to attack the day.
Josh, obviously the game of football is an aggressive game, but San Francisco takes that physicality in special teams. It's really weird when you watch them. Every phase they're physical. Is that something that you want to see the Raiders become?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and we have definitely, I think we've started to establish that in all three phases, but there's no question this team is a physical football team that we're getting ready to play, and that's their philosophy. That's the way they want to play. That's the way they want to win. That's the way they believe in winning and playing. And so, they're aggressive and physical in their coverage units. They do a really good job. Their returner's tremendous. You know, and obviously their defensive front and offensive line, they've invested in significantly, you know, over time to get it to where it is. You know, a number of first-round draft picks on the defensive front, you know, and the same thing on the offensive line. So, you know, that it clearly stands out as their style of play. You don't have to watch long before you really realize that that's what it's going to be.
That's good.
Good to go? All right, here we go.
Thanks, Josh.